last class we discussed about the different types of pollinations. Different types of pollination means there is in self-pollination is there. See, first of all, what is pollination? Transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. Okay, the process is called as pollination. So in that again two types are there. One is called self-pollination, other one is called as cross-pollination. Self-pollination indicates here one flower contains the anthers, and after that maturation of anther, the anther releases the pollen grains which are reaches the same flower stigma. The process is called as self-pollination, right? Again, other type is called as cross-pollination, right? See, other type is cross-pollination. In that again two types are there. One is called as geitonogamy, other one is called as genogamy, right? See, within that case, cross-pollination indicates transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma, but between two different flowers. Maybe the flowers are present on the same plant, maybe the flowers are present on different plants. If the flowers are present on the same, if the flowers are present on same plant, that one is called as geitonogamy, right? See, other type, last type is the genogamy. The flowers are present on two different plants. That one is called as genogamy. So genogamy is the most advanced one, because if the plants are different, genes are different, there is more variations are there, more variations are supporting for the generation of new characters, right? So that is about the types of pollinations, right? Coming to today class, we are discussing about agents of pollination or pollinating agents. Pollinating agents. See, simple, some of the factors or some of the organisms which are supporting for the pollination. Very easy. Transfer of pollen grains by the abiotic factors or transfer of pollen grains by the biotic factors. We have to know here what is biotic factor and what is abiotic factor. Already we know abiotic means factors which are not having life. Factors which are not having life, these factors are called as abiotic factors. Factors which are having life, these factors are called as biotic factors. So we know the factors which are not having life, which are supporting for the pollination. See, the best example is the air pollination, right? So we'll discuss about that factors which are involved in the pollination. We know the pollination, transfer of pollen grains, right, from anther to stigma. So here there is an abiotic factors or abiotic agents are there, right, and the biotic factors or biotic agents are there which are having life and which are not having life. So in the abiotic factors again two types are there in simple way. One is that air pollination, other one is the water pollination. One is the air pollination, right, other one is the water pollination. So the very first one is the air pollination. This one is also called wind pollination. This one is also called wind pollination. So the technical name is here anemophily. If the pollination is done by the air or if the done by the wind, air is nothing but rain, right, wind here. So what I am telling here, air pollination or wind pollination. This one is also called anemophily, right? So that is about that introduction of anemophily. Simple, pollen grains are there. The pollen grains are float in the air. Pollen grains are float in the air. So one anther releases many thousands of pollen grains, right? The pollen grains are float in the air, reaches the stigma involved in the pollination. Remember the technical explanation for the releasing pollen grains. Technical explanation to release the pollen grains. Sir, why anther releases a huge number of pollen grains? Remember, maybe one anther contains 1000 pollen grains. In all these 1000 pollen grains are maybe not reaches the stigma, maybe not reaches the stigma, maybe 4 or 5, maybe 10 or maybe 20. Okay, very minimum number of pollen grains reaches the stigma. So more number is produced, more number of pollen grains are produced, then there is a more chance to involve in the pollen grains are, there is a more chance to involve in the pollination. So some students have the doubts are very few plants are there, but one anther produces 1000 pollen grains, so that is the very high number. 1 or 2 pollen grains are enough. Why here thousands of pollen grains are produced? Maybe all pollen grains are not reaches the stigma. That is nothing but there is no chance for the pollination. Maybe here some of the pollen grains are float in the air. Maybe these are always float in the air. Maybe these are interact with the wrong match. Wrong match means last time we discussed about pollination between mango and other plant. Mango plant and the other plant. So that is the wrong match. So always right match is supporting for the pollination, fertilization, right, followed by the seed production, followed by the fruit production. So right match is always required. So here anemophily case, especially the plants produces many number of pollen grains or huge number of pollen grains, because most of the pollen grains are not reaches the right stigma. Most of the pollen grains are not reaches the right stigma. Right. See some of the characteristic features which are exhibited by air pollinating flowers. See every pollinating means hydro pollination is there. These are one type of flowers, and air pollinating flowers are there. These are another type of flowers. Insect pollinating flowers are there. Right? These are another type of flower. Ophiophily, snakes are involved in the pollination. Right? The flowers are having special features. So for every type of pollination, the flowers exhibit quite different features. See, the characters are quite different from other flowers. The characters are quite different from the other flowers. So here what I am trying to say, air pollinating flowers having a specific characters. All these characters are supporting for air pollination. Second one, water pollinating flowers are having, okay, again special characters, okay, which are also okay, supporting for the water pollination. We know that insect pollination, the flowers are having very special characters. That characters are supporting for the insect pollination. First of all, here we are discussing about the air pollinating flowers characteristic features. Colors are absent. Remember, whatever the flowers which are involved in the air pollination, the flowers are need not to exhibit colors, or need not to produce any colors, or need not to show any colors, because the colors, when the flowers are having colors, definitely which are involved in the insect pollination. Remember, if any flower exhibit color, the flowers 99.99% of the cases involved in the insect pollination. So insect pollination, okay, or insect pollinating flowers having the very first characteristic feature is exhibit colors. Those the flowers which are involved in the insect pollination which exhibit colors. See, this is the air pollination. There is no need to attract the colors. There is no need to attract the There is no need to attract the insects. There is no need to attract the insects. So there is no need to attract the insects. Then there is no use to exhibit the colors. There is no use to exhibit the colors. So here colors are absent. So air pollinating flowers not exhibit any colors. And nectar is absent. See, nectar is also one of the sweet substance we know. This one is also called honey, right? See, I thought so many people taste the honey, sweet in taste, right? And see, the nectar is very essential to attract the insects, because insects are trying to collect the food material. That time, okay, the pollen grains are attached to the insect. If the insect visit another flower, there is a chance for the cross pollination. So that is the main motto. The plant produces the nectar. The plant produces the nectar, right? So these flowers are involved in air pollination. There is no use to exhibit colors and there is no use to produce nectar. So nectar is absent here. No fragrance. Fragrance is also related to that attraction of different kinds of organisms. Maybe insects are attracted, maybe the snakes are attracted, maybe different kinds of organisms are attracted, right? So here, no fragrance. And long style. See, the style is very long. Whatever that style pot is there, the style pot is very long. For suppose, this is the one of the ovary part and this is the style pot. The style is very long, right? This is the style pot. The style is very long. And feathery stigma. See, if we see in this kind of flowers, see, there is this is the inflorescence, right? There is an feathery stigma, like this. So, remember, this is the inflorescence. This is the inflorescence. So there is a feathery stigma. Production will takes place. So what is the use of feathery stigma? See, very simple. When the pollen grains are float in the air, that time the pollen grains are easily hold by or easily catched by the feathery stigma, which forms the feathery stigma majorly forms that mesh-like structure, right? So if the air is moving within that air, if the pollen grains are there, which are easily holded by the feathery stigma, So if this kind of structures are produced by the flowers, in that case the pollen grains are easily catched. Then there is a chance for the pollination, right? Feathery stigma is there. And single ovule is present. Remember, whatever that we eat, rice, right, wheat, all these are the single ovule content structures. So single ovule is present, right? So the flowers are having single ovule, right, which are involved in the air pollination. Whatever the flowers which are having that single ovule structures, right, which are involved in the air pollination. The best example is the grasses. Grasses are the best example, right? And coming to the next one here, low weight of pollen grains. So this is the very important and significant character. All of you remember, see, if the pollen grains are having high weight, which are not floated by the air, which are not easily floated by the air, right? So here the concept is, if the pollen grains are having light weight or low molecular weight, which are easily floated, then there is a chance for the pollination, right? And coming to the last characteristic feature is, see, which are non-sticky nature. The pollen grains are non-sticky nature. Non-sticky nature is nothing but, see, if we touch the pollen grains, the pollen grains are easily attached to our hands, because the surface of the pollen grain having one kind of oil substance, it gives the sticky nature. So what is the use of sticky nature? Is the insect comes and contact the flower, in that case the pollen grains are attached to the insect, and then the pollen grains are transferred from one flower to another flower. So that is the use of stickiness of pollen grains. See, in the air pollinating flowers, the pollen grains are non-sticky. Sir, why here non-sticky? If the pollen grains are sticky nature, see, while these are floating in the air, maybe many number of objects are there. Objects means other plants are there, maybe the leaves are there, maybe the houses are there, maybe the remaining other plant stems are there. So in that case, all the pollen grains will be wasted. Definitely, the pollen grains are not used by the plant, because if the pollen grains are having sticky nature, which are attached to the unwanted parts, which are not reaches the stigma, So in that case, whatever that air pollinating flowers are there, the flowers producing pollen grains are exhibit non-sticky nature. The pollen grains exhibit the non-sticky nature, right? So that is about the characteristic features of air pollinating flowers. Remember here example is the best example is grasses. Right. Coming to the next one, hydrophily. Simple. Hydrophily is nothing but hydro, water, phily, pollination, right? Animo, air, right? Phily, pollination, right? So water involved in the pollination. Water involved in the pollination. All of you remember. See what is the major element for the pollination, especially in lower plants. See whatever the plants we are seeing, the very first plants are the algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes. See all these plants fertilization done in presence of water only. Algae plants always surviving within the water, right? Bryophytes which have the capacity to survive within the water and on the land, right? See pteridophytes, these are grown on the land, but especially there is in swampy regions. Okay. So here what I am telling, whatever that lower plants are there, the lower plants are definitely requires. Okay, the lower plants fertilization process definitely requires water. In that case, we can't avoid the water. The plant can't avoid the water because presence of water only the fertilization will be takes place. Presence of water only the fertilization will be takes place, especially in lower plants. Coming to the higher plants, here the pollination done by the water. See water also supporting for the pollination, right? See water is easily moving from one area to the another area, right? Water is easily transported okay, from one area to the another area. So here water also involved in the pollination. One is called as the epihydrophily, other one is called as hypohydrophily. One is called as epihydrophily, other one is called as hypohydrophily. Epihydrophily, epi means upper surface, right? Hypo means lower surface. So the pollination here done by the upper surface and here pollination done by the lower surface, right? So okay, we have to discuss about both these two cases. We'll discuss now, right? Yeah, these are the types of water pollinations. One is that epihydrophily. Epi indicates here upper surface, right? Other one is the hypohydrophily. Hypo indicates here lower surface. So within the water, there is in two regions are there. If pollination done within upper region, that one is called as epihydrophily. If the pollination done within the lower region, that one is called as hypohydrophily. So here, this is one of the best example for the epihydrophily. These are the plants which are rooted plants, right? Which are rooted, right, within the soil. And these plants are completely covered by the water, right? See, these are the submerged plants. And which are rooted, right? So in these plants, okay, whatever that pollen grains are produced, the pollen grains are float on the surface of the water. All of you remember the best example is the Vallisneria is the best example, right? Within these plants, the special character is male flowers are formed on one plant and female flowers are formed on another plant. Male flowers formed on one plant and female flowers are formed on another plant. See, the case is different. See what we are seeing, okay, whatever the flower we discussed, that is the bisexual flower. Bisexual means both male and female reproductive organs are present. But some flowers not like that. Maybe having the male reproductive organ or having the female reproductive organ. See, this kind of flowers are called as unisexual flowers. So here the same case, right? See, one of the plant is the male plant, other plant is the female plant, right? See here, this one is responsible to produce the pollen grains. Here the green color marks indicates for pollen grains. The green color marks are indicates for the pollen grains, right? So this is about the plant body structure and which are the especially anthers, right? These are the anther parts, right? So which are releases the pollen grains, which are float on the surface of the water, reaches the female plant, especially whatever the stigma part is there. This is the stigma part, reaches the stigma, right? Here pollination is done. Here pollination is done, right? So how the pollen grains are float within the water, see, which are having low molecular weight or light weight, see, low density. That's the reason why here the pollen grains are float on the surface of the water, right? Which reaches the stigma, right? Pollination takes place. Once the flower completed the pollination, that time there is a highly coiled structure. Highly coiled structure will be formed, and this is the stigma part. This is the stigma part. So what I am trying to say here, see, initially whatever the stalk-like structure is there, the stalk-like structure is easily floated, and this is the long structure. This is a long structure and easily floated within the water. Once the pollination is completed, whatever that long stalk-like structure is there, the long stalk-like structure forms the highly coiled structure. And see, the particular reproductive organ present at the base of the plant or bottom side of the plant. Bottom side means here this is the water, right? So this is the root, so this is the base. So whatever the reproductive organs are there after the pollination, right, which forms highly coiled structures, which are present at the lower side of the water. Lower side of the water. So this is about that epihydrophily. In this case, the important points are male and female. Okay, the flowers are formed in different plants, right? Here, the pollen grains are transported by the water, right, which are float on the surface of the water. Which are float on the surface of the water, right? Here, pollination will be takes place. Here, pollination will be takes place. Once the pollination is completed, okay, which reaches the bottom side of the water. The reproductive organs reaches the bottom side of the water, right? That is about the epihydrophily. Example is Vallisneria. So coming to the next one is the hypohydrophily, the pollination done at the bottom side of the water. See, hypo indicates here lower, right? See, this is the pollen grain structure within here. This is the pollen grain structure, and it's having the ribbon shape. It's having the ribbon shape. Especially the plant name. Here example is the Zoostera. Here example is the Zoostera. Yeah, the plant name Zoostera, right? So here the Zoostera produces one of the longest pollen grain in the world. Longest pollen grain is the Zoostera. Okay, what kind of shape having, right? See, the shape is the ribbon shape. What kind of shape it's having means here the ribbon shape. So the ribbon shape contains the pollen grain, right? This is the longest structure, right? This one is moving bottom of the water. This one is moving bottom of the water or lower region of the water. This is the upper region and this is the lower region, or this is the bottom region, right? See, always the pollen grains are moving at the lower region only. So why the pollen grain moving at the lower region here? Why here pollen grains are moving upper region here? We know the best concept is, if we throw one stone into the water, it reaches the bottom of the water. If we throw one paper, okay, into the water or into the any canal, right? See, that one is floating on the surface of the water. So why is that? Why one at the lower side? Why one at the upper side? See, the difference is the density. The difference is the density. So low density than water, which are float on the surface of the water. High density than water, which are float on the lower side of the water. So here also same thing here, low density is there. That's the reason why pollen grains are float on the surface of the water. Here high density, which are moving at the bottom side of the water, right? So hypohydrophily indicates here the pollination done by the lower region of the water, especially the Zoostera plant. It produces the longest pollen grains within the world. The shape is the ribbon shape, right? See, always pollination done at the lower regions. Always the pollination done at the lower regions, right? That is about the hydrophily. See, we have to discuss here the characteristic features of the hydrophilic flowers or characteristic features of the water pollinating flowers. We'll discuss now, right? Coming to the next topic is the characteristic features of water pollinating flowers. See, these characters also mostly like air pollinating flowers. All of you remember the very first character we discussed, the air pollinating flowers. Here also the same point. Here colors are absent. Whatever the flowers which are involved in the water pollination, the flowers are not having any colors, are not shows any colors, not exhibit any colors. Sir, why these are not exhibit any colors? Remember, no use. See, if the colors are exhibited, no use. Why no use? Because see, which are need not to attract any insects, which are need not to attract any birds. See, even by the colors, human beings also attracted. If we see a very beautiful flower, that time we go there and we touch mostly, we try to touch. See, that is also one kind of attraction. So what I am telling here, the colored flowers always attracts the living organisms, right? Definitely, which are supporting for the cross pollination. See, here pollination done by the water. Here pollination done by the water. Then there is no use to exhibit colors. There is no use to exhibit color. See, if the colors are exhibited, that is not useful to the plant. So, remember, whatever the flowers which are exhibit colors, that is one kind of adaptation, which attracts the insects. Which are not exhibit any color, that is one kind of adaptation. Remember, the air pollinating flowers shows one kind of characters, means that is one kind of adaptation. The flower shows one kind of adaptation. Water pollinating flowers exhibit one type of characters. See, that is also one kind of adaptation. Remember, mostly the air and water pollinating flowers, okay, shows whatever the characters are there, which are mostly similar. Very quite differences are there, mostly similar. See, the very first one is that the colors are absent. In air pollinating flowers also colors are absent. All of you remember, sir, how insects identifies the colors. Remember, honeybee is the best example. Honeybee honeybee identifies, not exhibit, sorry. Honeybee identifies yellow color. Identify yellow color. See, the honeybees are very strongly identifies the yellow color. Remaining colors also identifies, but which color is identified easily by the honeybee, the color is the yellow color. So different types of colors are exhibited by different flowers, right? And different insects are attracted, right? So here the flowers are not shows any colors because which are no need to attract the insects. And next one is the nectar. Nectar absent. Here nectar also for insects. We know honey, that is nothing but nectar. Nectar is produced by nectar glands. That is nothing but secretion of honey. Then honey is the food for the insects. So honey, presence of honey, so many number of insects are attracted. So many number of insects are attracted. Even ants also attracted. Ants also attracted. Even whatever the house flies are there, okay, which are also attracted mostly, right? So here nectar is absent. So whatever that water pollinating flowers are there, which are not produce any nectar. The third point here, fragrance. The third point is here, fragrance. See, the flowers not produces any fragrance. Fragrance is nothing but one kind of smell. The smell is supporting to attract maybe the insects, maybe the snakes, maybe the other type of organisms. Right? So fragrance also here, okay, not produced. Fragrance absent. Right? The fourth one, whatever that pollen grains are there, around the pollen grain, this is the pollen grain, right? around the pollen grain there is a mucilaginous. Around the pollen grain there is a mucilaginous layer will be produced. Get the fourth point. Around the pollen grain, mucilaginous layer will be produced. See, this the green color one is indicates for mucilaginous layer. Anyone guess what is the use of mucilaginous layer? Very easy to say answer. See, the pollen grains are, this is the pollen grain, right? See, if the pollen grain not having any mucilaginous layer, the pollen grain not having any mucilaginous layer, in that case there is an transportation of water from outside to inside. Outside to inside. This one is called as endoosmosis. This one is called as endoosmosis. So here, presence of endoosmosis, the pollen grains are bursted. The pollen grains are bursted. Once the pollen grains are bursted, then there is no chance for the pollination. There is no chance for the pollination. So presence of mucilaginous layer. Presence of mucilaginous layer. See, the water molecules are unable to enter. The water molecules are unable to enter. There is no chance for the endoosmosis. There is no chance for the endoosmosis. There is no chance for the bursting. There is no chance for the bursting. So concept is very simple. If the pollen grains are covered by any mucilaginous layer, there is no entry of water molecules from outside to inside the pollen grain. See, in that case, pollen grains are not bursted. The technical word is the plasmolysis. Yeah, especially that one is called as deplasmolysis. Not plasmolysis, exactly deplasmolysis. The technical word is the deplasmolysis. Is there any plant cells, okay, bursted by the entry of water molecules? That one is called as deplasmolysis, right? See, so here preventing the deplasmolysis process by the production of mucilaginous layer, by the production of mucilaginous layer. So remember, presence of water, there is an bursting of pollen grains. Presence of mucilaginous layer. See, here water also there, mucilaginous layer is also there. So here there is no chance for the bursting. There is no chance for the bursting. So that is the major use of mucilaginous layer. There is the major use of mucilaginous layer. So here we are discussing about abiotic factors. One is that air pollination. This one is also called wind pollination. Other one is the water pollination. This one is also called hydrophily. Right. So we discussed about the characteristic features of air pollinating flowers and water pollinating flowers. Next one we will discuss about the biotic factors. Next one we will discuss about the biotic factors. Right.